Ready to get the inside scoop on equity funding? Tune into TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Podcast for an in-depth look at what it takes to access financial capital and maximize your investments. Hear from experienced professionals, including bankers, underwriters, loan officers, and industry experts as they share their unfiltered stories and valuable lessons on securing funds.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all for tuning in to our podcast today. Today, we have a special guest. Our guest is Dave Worden. He's a business strategist and a growth expert, and he's from Ohio. So he's coming to us today to bring some information of understanding the power of our profit and loss statements. Now, in our field as loan brokers, that is so important. If you're in business, real estate, or business of any type, profit and loss statements are something that's so important. And what I like about what Dave brings is that he brings how important it is, why it's important, and what you need to be doing to make sure that it's how it should be. I really like that. And that's why we wanted to make him a guest host today. So if you would, let's dive in to the knowledge and understanding that Dave has for us today and welcome him to our show. Welcome, Dave, to our show today.
Welcome. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, great. If you would, let's start off with telling a little bit about you and actually what you do as a business strategy and growth expert.
Absolutely. So I help small business owners truly maximize their profitability and their cash flow. And we do that through implementation of various strategies and accountability. I have 15 years of financial, I think then executive leadership, and about 7 years of small business consulting and strategy help as well. So we really help them focus on reaching that next level in their business that maybe they've been struggling to do by themselves.
Okay. And that's something that's definitely needed. I think business owners don't realize and you know this too, what I'm about to say, a lot of businesses start out from the hip. They just having to be in the business. They're trying to do everything. They're wearing all the hats and all of that. And they're actually just working. And the business is moving, but at some point it's stagnant. And it's stagnant mainly because the strategy or the growth is not there. So that's where you come in, I believe, so important for the company itself. So in your industry or in your knowledge of what you've known in the field, what is your association as far as with the funding industry? How do you help them to get more funding in their business?
So we help our clients first kind of put together that funding package with the financial statements. If they have a bookkeeper and accountant, we help kind of formulate that, make sure their numbers look correct. And if they don't have a bookkeeper or accountant, we can help them pull together that funding package. And a lot of that financial statement basic package is their balance sheet. So it kind of, gives an idea of their assets and their liabilities and their equity in their business. The income statement, which truly shows the activities of how well they're selling and then what they're spending their money on in their business. And then their cash flow statement. So when they get cash in, where are they spending it? Is it investing back in the business? Is it for expenses, or is it to pay down liabilities? Or are they, doing any financing activities as well? So those three are the main financial statements that any small business should be looking to pull together to provide to a bank or a lender when they're looking to get funding.
Exactly. So let me say this too, based on what you were saying, those three documents are really important. And it used to be before COVID, we had mainly the P&Ls and the balance statement. It was after COVID, we started getting more demands for the cash flow statements. So they're looking now at that cash flow statement. And I know you probably would know, what do you think the reason why they want to see cash flow now compared to before, just the two?
For a lot of it for liquidity in terms of, do you have enough available projected flows in versus, the outflows to make sure that you can afford any new principal and interest payments that you would be paying on any future debt. Right. And a lot of times they may actually ask too for a projected P&L and then a projected cash flow statement. That's something else that could be presented where you actually project the inflows, so your revenues coming into the business or any other proceeds from sales of assets, et cetera, and then outflows, so any payments of current debt and any projected expenses. to see if you actually can cash flow any new payments.
And payments as well, if you can afford another loan, and that's true. So let me ask you this: with you being the business strategy and growth expert, what part do you play? So as a business owner, you can come in. I know my CPA and my bookkeeper has all my financials, but I don't understand my financials. I don't know what I'm looking at. Is that something you can help me with, where I can understand those three and how to use them and how to read? And if so, how would that work?
So we believe in partnering with your accountant and your bookkeeper to help you understand, for example, your P&L. So the main number you should be looking at is your gross profit margin if you produce products for sale. This is going to tell you, out of every product you make, how much additional sales would go to your bottom line if all your expenses are covered. And if you don't have a understanding of your gross profit margin, this is where I would start helping you understand, one, what strategies can have a direct impact on increasing your gross profit margin. And two, if you're operating below or even at the industry standard for your business at a gross profit margin level, there's opportunities in there because the law of averages, 50% of your competition is above that average. So you have a lot of capacity to add additional profit and positive cash flow to your business just by increasing your gross profit margin.
Okay, so that's basically what it's saying is you can teach them how to learn those numbers, which we tell them as loan brokers that you should know if you can afford a loan or not. And you should be able to tell how much you can afford. A lot of people go to the bank and they apply and they like, well, whatever you can give me. But that's not the way that should be. That tells us, that's a clear indication to a loan officer that you don't know your numbers, and that is going to be a red flag. People do not realize that you turn in and you fill out everything. The questions you ask them or the things you don't submit or how you submit, it tells them how you run your business. That's why it's great to have someone like us as a loan broker, I think, that know how your lending package should get or should be, or have someone like you as a growth expert, a strategist in business. You know how they need to be set up and what they need to do as well, too. Am I correct? Because you'll know it's not necessarily set up as much as it is how the company should look in order for it to be fundable. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And we have worked with our clients to, one, get that financial packet put together where, if they're purchasing a loan, as you mentioned, they should go and actually understand what they're going to buy with the loan first. Unless it's a line of credit, if they're going for a loan, you're asking for a specific dollar amount. So have quotes pulled together so that you can easily, identify with your broker how much you need. And then project out and prove to your broker, if you pre-plan, that you can afford those new payments that you're projecting out for that loan. That's a huge, at least in my opinion, a huge advantage when you're kind of working with somebody like myself or even a bookkeeper and accountant to pull that information together ahead of time. It makes, your job as the broker is a heck of a lot easier.
And you need to have this type of information, whether your company is bringing in $20,000 a year or $20 million a year. That's something I think is a myth that people believe, well, I'm not making that much money, I don't need all this type of stuff. But you do, because they tell a story. They tell a story, and if you learn it right, you'll know when your checkpoints are, in your business, or I guess the goals you set for yourself. The numbers will tell you if you're there, and because a lot of us do business on feelings and emotions and basically what other people tell us to do, but it's not necessarily professional. I know you've had to clean up a lot of that when you see people. So in your opinion, what do you see what is maybe your top information you can give a business when it comes to working with a business strategy and a growth expert like yourself?
It's a good question. The number one idea would be to reach out to a business broker if you're looking for a good, or a business strategy and growth expert, would be if you're trying to reach that next level and maybe you've been turned down for a couple loans or you've been trying to just increase your cash flow. Getting a support system around you is integral piece to becoming successful as a small business owner. 95% or 90 to 95% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years because we as human beings think we can do it all alone. Right. We try to go at it alone. But there's a reason why professional athletes and professional, sports people, even, actors or, any professional at a high level has an entire team of people around them to make sure that they're performing at the optimal level. And it's really disparaging to me because a lot of small business owners believe that they don't need it. When in reality they do. And I know that because I had a small business about 16 years ago. I thought I knew it all. I was in my early 20s. And if I would have known now, then what I know now about having a support system around you, I might not have failed at that business opportunity back then.
Right.
But it was a great learning experience because it allowed me to go in to, the corporate world, learn a lot about leadership and business. And now, helping small businesses over the last 7 years, we can now give them that support system on a regular basis.
Okay. And I know that is true because we've had clients come into us that have worked with a business strategy or growth expert at some point in time, and we can see the difference. We can see the difference in their paperwork and their packaging and everything. And we even had one that started out, she was just doing like about $60,000 a year, but she actually had a business strategist that came in when she first started her business. And she said, they worked with her. So she started out at $60,000, $70,000 the next year. And then in the time she implemented everything they had showed her to do, even saving her a lot of money, she wound up making $360,000 the next year. It was a big growth. And she said that's why now she's one of our revenues that make $1.5 million a year, and we give her a loan, basically. But that's where she said she started. And that's what we see. It's important. It doesn't matter how big you are, but you need to start that. And that's something you need to have part of your business. Like I said, so being with the strategy and the growth expert, I guess we need to understand, what do businesses usually get you guys mixed up with, because your business is strategy. So how does that work? What is that going to do for my business? I guess that's what I'm trying to get an understanding while listeners can know how it works.
Yeah. A lot of times we get confused with the consultant, right?
Okay.
And my analogy is great here. A consultant would be like a replacement player in a professional sports team, where they would actually come in and perform the plays, right? And actually act on the field. We as coaches are on the sidelines. We help you with strategy, with game planning, with calling audibles when they need to, or calling a timeout to help reanalyze the strategy that's going on in your business on a day-to-day basis. We will help with profitability. As you just mentioned in that great example, as a business coach, we help you with the strategy to put processes in place to ensure that you're profitable. And by knowing your financial statement, going back to the first part of our conversation, you can find profitability and cash flow just by understanding your numbers and either cutting costs or taking a look at your prices. A lot of small businesses that I come into contact with, they haven't even looked at their pricing model in the last 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
And right now in 2023, 2024, we have a great opportunity as small business owners to really analyze our pricing. And as long as we have a valid reason for increasing our pricing, we can increase our prices. And that adds directly to the bottom line as long as you're, a profitable organization, because all your other expenses are already paid for.
Right, exactly.
And the beauty of that is that, you're not just adding money nilly-willy to your top line. You have in probably the same companies that I've talked to over the last 3 to 5 years have had price increases from their suppliers, but they haven't touched their price because they feel like they have to be competitive.
Right.
So it really impacts that bottom line and that percentage of gross profit and net profit that really can determine for, an underwriter how positive or negative that loan is going to be for the future.
Right. And so I know just what you're saying. I understand a lot what you're saying, because we have people come in business and they don't understand any of that. So my thing would be to ask you, which I know some of them have thought of this as well, because we had someone ask us this, is that what do they have to look like in order for you to start working with them as a business?
My focus is anybody under $1 million of revenue that really wants to reach that next level. And I'm not even talking top line. I'm just saying, I want a business owner who's motivated to become more profitable. And they don't even necessarily have to be profitable today, but they've at least had a concept that's proven and they've had sales.
Gotcha.
So it could be anybody that's been in business for, 6 to 12 months that has a high volume of sales. And they don't even have to be over $100,000 of revenue to see impacts from the strategies that we implement. Just as you mentioned in your previous example, that client that you've seen was at $60,000 and now they're at 300 and now they're over $1 million.
Right.
So and the power of all these strategy implementations comes in the power of compounding growth and exponential growth. So you don't have to make 100, 200% changes in each one of the strategies to truly make a high impact.
That's true.
You can see really large impacts by having 3 to 5% increases across the 40 strategies that we use in our software, in our program.
Right. And, I think as owners, we don't have time. A lot of times we should. We don't have time to work on our business because we're so busy working in our business. So
right.
I think it's great to have you guys. And that's like I said, you're just another entity that I believe businesses need to know about. And that's what our team was talking about, that we got to have this man on our podcast. I mean, look what he knows and how we know how people come in and they basically come in, Dave, raggedy. They come in raggedy. They really do, Dave. And so we realize, and there's so much work we have to do, but just for us to start introducing you guys and putting you guys out there is going to help a lot of us in the lending business tremendous. That's why we are glad you're partnering with us. And just so our listeners to know, if you want to get in touch with Dave, we want you to get in touch with Dave. You can reach us. You can reach him as well. Because like I said, we get everything to him. We have a TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Facebook page that you guys can go to. We're going to try to load some stuff up for you. Ask any questions. If you need to message us for him, you can do that as well, because we know what he has is something that we need. Now, in this field, if you don't mind, what I want to go to is that what would you call a call of action for our listeners dealing with the strategy and the growth expert? What would be a call of action you would say for them?
I get your financials and understand where are you at with your gross profit margin, and go out and compare it to your industry. If you are at or below your industry standard, your call to action needs to be to get in touch. It doesn't even have to be me, but find yourself a business strategy and growth expert and a business coach that you feel comfortable working with and truly, transform your business. And it's right there in front of you. You have the ability to understand it. And what's great about, my business is I believe wholeheartedly in what I do and our strategies. I guarantee a 300% ROI on everything that I do at minimum.
Right.
Okay. And anybody in our system has a wonderful proprietary software that can help you grow. That's my call to action for you.
Okay.
You have the ability. And the greatest thing about it is that your coaching is essentially free as long as you're willing to do the work. Because with that 300% ROI, you're already paying for your coaching investment. You're already paying for that help. All you have to do is implement what we advise and what we, kind of show you in terms of the strategies. And, the choice is yours to see that huge transformational growth in your business.
Exactly. And I know that is true from like clients. I told you we've seen that had growth, and they said they work with a business strategist and they work with a growth expert. And that's what I'm saying. I just think that's something we didn't realize. And if you don't know your numbers, that's your first sign that you need to reach out to someone like Dave, or like you say, a business strategist, because you can't keep running your business and don't know your numbers. That's what's important. Am I correct? And like what I like about you too, and what I found out with the business strategy, they save money. They save the company money. Like you said, if we haven't raised our head up as an owner to see the changes in prices, and we still keep our prices the same, we're losing money, but we don't know how to adjust that. And if you don't know how to adjust it, that's where a business strategist come in and they help you to save money as well as make money. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. So,
correct. Yeah.
So when it comes to that, explain that a little bit, how you help people save on that end as well.
So one of the big things we help them fully understand is, where are they spending their money? And the first test we do is we actually go through their profit and loss statement and go through line by line, vendor by vendor,
right,
and understand, is this a client producing expense? If it's not, and it's just there because they thought that they should be spending on it, and it's not actually leading to any top line or bottom line growth, we can eliminate it. We will help with a lot of employee relations. So how is your staffing levels compared to, their productivity? Do they have a lot of capacity? We can help in that aspect as well. Wow. And a lot of that, we do partner with some partners in our network that are more specialized, like an HR specialist, to handle, the employee side. But there's ways, to truly understand just in your P&L, go through it. Find expenses that maybe as you realize you don't need anymore because it's not leading to new clients or it's not helping you with customer service. You don't need all those things. And now in today's, subscription world, a lot of stuff we're finding are just subscriptions, recurring costs that they didn't even know they were continuing to pay.
Exactly.
And so that's where we can really help kind of save money when it comes to their P&L.
Right. And I think that's just great for you all to come in and overview. Now, I know I want to say this because my team that's back at the office made sure that during this podcast that I mentioned this. When it comes to financials and you need to turn those in for lending, you cannot and should not go to the website or Google and use a template for your profit and loss. Because they don't understand that the profit and loss says way more than just numbers. Also, we tell people that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but we from dealing with our lenders that we let people know your balance sheet needs to show your liabilities. So you can't turn in a debt schedule and then it doesn't show in the financials. Am I correct? Because it's no way. You have to. And I don't think people know that when they copy it from Google or wherever they get it from, what goes with that. And then you'd have presented it to a lender, and some of my listeners probably have done it. You present it to a lender, and guess what? It's denied. It's denied because they're already looking at, whoa, this is not right. So even if you can't read it, the lenders can read it. So that's what I mean. Do you agree? I mean, have you ran across that where people will think they can just do that and why they can't just copy it off the internet?
Well, again, I highly, like yourself, I would never suggest using anything off the internet. Yeah. Especially, if you're a large organization, get yourself an accounting software. There's a lot of easy ones out there, free ones out there. If you're smaller and you're looking to save some money. But invest in a bookkeeper, a high quality, bookkeeper. There's great ones out there. They're going to help make sure, everything on your financial statements needs to balance. There's an entry on one side. You have a debit, a credit on any entry that goes into a financial on any side or the other, and they need to balance. When you just use an Excel spreadsheet off the internet, it doesn't ensure that there's any balancing going on. So, like you said, you could have assets but zero, liabilities. The biggest thing when it comes to a balance sheet is your asset total should equal your liabilities plus your equity.
Exactly.
Those two should equal at the end of the day. If they don't, then you're out of balance, and you're probably missing a debt balance, a loan balance, a credit card balance, something like that. That's not identified in that financial statement.
Right. And so that's why we tell you those numbers. Or when people ask for that, it's not just a piece of paper, guys. It is really seriously tells a story about your company. And we're not saying that, you don't know this, you should know this. Well, you should. But we're saying there are professional people that can help you. Ask for the help. Look for the understanding of what you need. And because it's out here, there's no reason you can business owners, I tell them all the time, you don't have to suffer by yourself. There is somebody professionally that can do what you need to have done. And it's not always about the money. I mean, you pay for it, but if you don't do it, you're going to pay for it anyway. Right? So
in the long run. Absolutely.
So that's what we basically trying to get people to understand, that it's important to get these professional people in to help you with your company and help them grow. So the other thing we're about to wrap everything up. Is there anything you think you would like to say for any type of final words of wisdom for businesses dealing with getting a business strategy and growth expert?
That's another great question, Jackie. The biggest thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of people feel like once they ask for help and they ask for that assistance, that they're less of a business owner, or they are less of an individual because they need support.
Yeah, you're right. That's a way to look at it.
The most successful people in this world have huge support systems around us.
Yes.
So ask for support, ask for help. And a lot of times you'd be surprised with what's available to you out there, at any given time. So that would be my number one thing is know your numbers first, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have a bookkeeper or accountant, go ahead and get yourself one. You can easily pull together a P&L in 4 simple steps. So grab your bank statements the last 12 months. All your deposits in your bank statements are your revenue. All your withdrawals are your expenses. And then you need to break down your expenses between cost of goods sold and operating. Biggest way to identify that is if it goes up and it's related to a product that you provide or that you make and sell, it's a cost of goods sold. Anything else is your operating expenses. It's the easiest way you can, it's a quick way for a company without a bookkeeper and accountant to identify where they're at and to get a start at understanding where their numbers are. That's going to tell you your gross profit margin. That's going to tell you your net profit margin, where you can then begin to do that comparison of comparing it to your industry to see, are you at or below, and do you have a lot of opportunity for improvement?
Exactly. And all that you're saying, if they're going to try to get any type of substantial money, lending or funding, then you need to have that. You can't get around that. And people are going to have to understand that. So one nugget that I would like to give to them, and if it's okay with you, is that if you want to have a consultant with Dave, you want to get in touch with Dave and talk to him, we strongly recommend it. Let us know. We'll get you guys with him. And I think, like I say, you have programs that can help educate them on this, what we're talking about today. So it's not like we telling you about it. Hey, he actually have where you can actually take a course, or you can go through some of his programs he have, and he can work with you and help you no matter how big or how small you are. Okay. Just reach out and just call, ask for the help. That's the main thing. Okay. That is great. So I appreciate you coming out today.
Thank you.
It was very informative. Like I told you, every time when I talk to you, is so much, and you have so much going on that you're there helping, and you give a lot to people to understand what they need to understand in order to make it. We don't have to suffer by ourselves, and that's right, because they have someone like you, or that entity is available that they can actually get the help that they need. So I would like to thank you for coming. I definitely want to thank you for your insight, and we are looking for you as being one that will come back. And if there's anything else that you all think of and want to know, again, reach out to us at Podcast TDJ Equity Funding Insiders. In the meantime, let's thank Dave. Thank you for coming in today and talking to us. We enjoyed you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was an enjoyable conversation, Jackie.
Okay, great. So we're going to have this. So you guys, if you need to, reach out to us on our Facebook page, TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Facebook page, or you can email us at podcast@tdjequityfundinginsiders.net. Until then, you guys take care.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of TDJ Equity Funding Insiders Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest or get in touch with us, please visit our website at tdjequityllc.net/podcast or email us at podcast@tdjequityfundinginsiders.net. Until next time, take care.